Silver Star in the BTRDA would see some familiar faces as well as some new challengers taking to the stages. And in the lead of the category after the morning stages would be this man, the latter of the two, Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark in their historic Escort. It would be a good advantage as well. 38 seconds the lead after stage 4. Frank and Lauren Kelly returned to the series this year. It was 13 years since Frank won the Silver Star Trophy. He was back in 2021 to see if he could do it all over again. Second place for now, leading the B12 class, and a promising start. Owen McMacken and Lee Taylor would be another pair returning to the series in the Escort. Going well at this early stage. Third place in the category, second in the class. Just 4 seconds back from Kelly up ahead. Just outside the podium places, but not letting that perturb them at this early stage, will be fourth for Andrew Davison and Tom Murphy. They lead the B11 class at this stage as well. A good start to the event. Certainly a battle unfolding here if we're lucky. Ashley Davies and Sam Fordham make a welcome return to the BTRDA, former champions in their fantastic looking Escort. I seem to remember it looked pretty good last time as well. The pair ending the morning 5th place, overall 3rd in the B12 class. Only 6 seconds off the times of Davison up ahead. And the gap behind was pretty close as well, shaping up to be a good morning of rallying so far. Rob Wright and Mark Fisher finishing stage 4, just 3 seconds back from Davies overall and in the class. In the R2 class, it would be a good start for Rob Wilson and Martin Hackett, leading the class and lying in 7th place overall in the Fiesta. Their closest rival for the class lead at this stage would be Matthew and Tim Tordoff, and it would indeed be close. 3 seconds again separating the top of the class now. For Gary and Linda Thomas, meanwhile, it would be 9th place overall. The Escort pair lying 4th in the B12 class as well at the midway point of the rally. And rounding out the top 10 would be Paul Street and Ian Jones. The pair actually on exactly the same time as Thomas up ahead, lying 2nd in the H3 class as well at this stage. Let's take a look then at some of the class positions outside of the top 10 leaderboard, and it would be 3rd in the R2 class for Owen Lloyd and Sean Williams, just outside the top 10 in 11th overall in the Peugeot 208. For Nick Dobson and Jonathan Turnbull, it would be 2nd in B11. A little way off the lead, but still going well on the overall time sheets. For Baz Jordan and Arwell Jenkins, it would be 3rd in H3, bringing the Avenger out again this season. A nice sight on the stages. We love to see this car out there sideways. They lie in 13th place overall. Neil Andrew and James Chatfield reached the midway point of the rally with 3rd in the B11 class. The fight was shaping up to be another close one as well. Only 3 seconds of an advantage in that position. And there'd be just the one crew in the H4 class. And it is that glorious looking and sounding Mitsubishi Galant of Tom Cawtrey and Ian Fraser. The car really looking the part on the Welsh stages. They end the morning 16th overall. In the N3 class, there'd be a close battle between a couple of our Fiesta crews. Johnny Sproat and Peter Johnson coming out on top at this stage. 13 seconds the advantage. 2nd in that class, and they clearly hadn't given up just yet on that chase, was Brandon and Steve Wellman. They had 4 stages to do all over again in the afternoon to try and turn that result around and take the top spot in the class. Mixed for this event in the H1 and H2 classes, it would be Martin Freestone and Rory McCann taking the early lead. The Escort pair with a good advantage in that position. It was looking like it was theirs to lose, but was it too early to call? It probably was, given that that lead was over this man, Jeremy Wells. Martin Saunders alongside. They may not be able to catch the leaders in the class as things look currently, but they were having to watch their backs. Only a 31-second advantage in that 2nd position themselves. Hardly a buffer with the afternoon stages still left to run. And rounding out the top of the class results would be Sean Bannister and Gavin Haycock. taking the B10 class lead in the Citroën C2 in 24th place overall. So we're 4 stages down the leaderboard in the Silver Star here on the Nicky Grist stages is shaping up like this. On we go to those iconic Welsh stages then, and onto the afternoon stages of the Nicky Grist. There'd be no change in the H1 and H2 class. Jeremy Wells and Martin Saunders holding on to that second place, but not quite getting back in the fight for first, as we predicted. Jeff Phelps and Colin Jenkins making a return to the championship this season, but in a new car, bringing out the freshly built Toyota Starlet. Fantastic to see something new out there on the stages. They were getting used to the handling of the car as the day went on, and it did take a bit of getting used to. They end the rally 26th overall. The afternoon would see some change in a few of the classes, the first being the B11 class. Graham Roberts and Stephen Spear ending the rally with third in the class, 24th overall. And it was a great end to the day for Ricky Crone and Daniel James. Their first proper gravel event in the car, and although they took things a little steady to begin with, the times were looking good later in the day. Frustratingly for them, a puncture on the final stage would drop them too much time for a better overall result, but they do take second in the B11 class. Ben Jemison and Dean Kellett had been suffering with brake problems for most of the day. Sadly for them, a lack of brakes doesn't make you go faster, as you might expect. They end the rally 22nd place overall and surely ruining what might have been. The R2 class wouldn't see much change other than the gaps between our competitors. Connor Tolson and Dylan Thomas continuing to hold on to second place in that class to the finish. And the same could be said for the lead of the H1 and H2 classes as well. Don't forget mixed for this weekend. Martin Freestone and Rory McCann extending their advantage in that position, ensuring that they take the class win as well as 17th overall. With just themselves and the clock perhaps to battle with in the B10 class, it would of course be the win for Sean Bannister and Gavin Haycock. They put in some good times as well, though, to end the rally 16th overall. Some good benchmarks in there to measure their performance. The N3 class would remain close all day. For Brendan and Steve Wellman, though, they'd be unable to take the lead of the rally before the finish. They settle for second place, just 17 seconds back from our class winners. And of course, those class winners would be Johnny Sproat and Peter Johnson. They managed to keep the gap in the lead, taking victory at the end of the opening round. For Tom Coterie and Ian Fraser, it would be the H4 class victory. A great run through the afternoon stages sees them ending the event with 12th place overall. Let's head full blast into that top 10 then, and there'll be plenty of things to look at, plenty of changes through this leaderboard. We see Baz Jordan and Arwell Jenkins stepping up to that 10th position overall, as well as taking third in the H3 class. We do, though, lose Andrew Davison and Tom Murphy from the B11 class lead through the afternoon stages. The pair, unfortunately, coming to a stop on the final stage of the rally. Always so frustrating. That did mean, though, that it was the class lead, and indeed the victory for Nick Dobson and Jonathan Turnbull. They take the advantage from that loss of Davison to take the class win, as well as 9th place overall. Paul Street and Ian Jones were on a charge. They'd be another crew to gain some positions in the afternoon stages, ending the rally with an impressive 8th place overall, second in the H3 class. Things remaining pretty consistent for Gary and Linda Thomas as far as the class went. Not quite able to overthrow those podium positions, but they do end the rally with 7th place overall. They've got to be pretty chuffed with that. Owen Lloyd and Sean Williams put in a great performance, meanwhile, to take a victory in the R2 class. A good finish for the pair in the class and on the overall results as well, with 6th place on the leaderboard. For Rob Wright and Mark Fisher, it was 5th place overall. The Escort pair missing out on a class podium as they take 4th in the B12 class. A lot of positives to take away despite that slight frustration. If you're going to lose the class podium to anyone, it may as well be some former champions, Ashley Davies and Sam Fordham, in that third place. They managed to hold on to the position to the finish, as well as moving up to fourth overall. For Owen McMacken and Lee Taylor, it will be second place in B12. They also round out the podium positions overall in the Silver Star. And there was some good, solid points on the board for Frank and Lauren Kelly. They finished second, taking the B12 class win as well in the process, and perhaps one step on the run of getting back to that Silver Star title for Frank. But that all means that it is victory for this pair, Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark, taking the win by 51 seconds at the end of the day on Jason's local ramp. So with the rally complete, here's a reminder of how the results finished in a particularly exciting and action-packed Silver Star category here at the Nicky Grist stages. With Jason Pritchard not appearing on the entry list for the next round, it plays surely into the hands of Frank Kelly to add some more championship points to that already pretty good looking tally.